Ryan. There's a Google form that we're filling out while we're doing this. We can rate the cards, and you guys can follow along with that while you're listening or whenever you want. We'll post it with the podcast.
And I'm Roby.
Yeah, I'm Andrew.
And we are the Packmates.
Hell yeah.
All right, where are we going to?
Do I need to say anything else? I don't know what to say in an intro.
Okay, well here.
Yeah.
Let's introduce each other. Andrew likes to draft removal like a lot. Andrew's an old school Magic player. He's been playing longer than any of us.
Yeah, I've been playing since Spirited. Actually, Scourge.
Yeah, he's old school. We all draft together at F&M's. You know what I mean? We've been drafting together for a couple years now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Andrew's like your traditional bred bombs removal, and he's very good. He's very tight play. Roby's more multicolor, leans towards the 5-color pile decks.
And Ryan,
he's a Sam Black guy. So take his word with a little grain of salt. No, don't cut that.
Ryan plays red-white decks, but says that he plays everything.
Yeah.
I always sit at the same table with these two, so
always an aggressive deck. You can always see like some 1/1s or 2/2s just getting in there, with him. But really tight player as well.
Possibly the most try-hard out of all of us, but
definitely,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's kind of a toss-up between you and Andrew.
We're both pretty try-hard. Like Roby tries to act like he doesn't care, so he doesn't feel so bad when he gets stumped.
For sure.
Sometimes that dude's like, I'm not splitting under any circumstances.
I definitely get the least tilted out of the three of us.
Oh, yeah.
I get tilted?
Oh, I'm the most.
I feel like you get slightly more tilted than me. You're pretty level-headed, though. You don't usually get that mad.
I'll tilt out.
Andrew gets tilted.
Yeah. Andrew's a bit of a loose cannon sometimes.
Things that get me going, but, we'll leave those for another day. TOs, man. TOs are rough.
Every single one of us has had Andrew tilted at least at one point.
You know that feeling you get when you come home and your dad's gonna be pissed at you? You don't really want to. You just want to, get past the interaction.
I feel like that's not how I
no, it's
feel with Andrew. I love it. It just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I'm bad about giggling during it.
Yeah, his heart's just in it.
Yeah.
His heart's just in it. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Well, welcome everybody to Draft Mates.
We're Packmates.
Oh, Packmate shit. Restart.
Just leave it.
All right. So we're rating on a scale of 0 to 10. A 0 being completely unplayable and will not be put in your draft deck. And a 10, which is an auto-include, will win you the game. Guaranteed. Not guaranteed, but play well. And then a 5, which is pretty much going to make your deck every time. And then the 4s are kind of questionable. They're mainly role players. And then anything above a 5 is pretty much making your deck. So first up, we're going to go start with white. All right, so we've got Agravian Cavalier, 2 colorless, 1 white, so it's 3. And it's a 2/2 creature with Enlist. The Enlist mechanic is, as this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until the end of turn. And then when Agravian Cavalier enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 soldier token. I think this is pretty decent. It's probably going to make it's imminently splashable in these kind of multi-colored formats. And I give it a 5.
Yeah, I would probably go 6. I think you're going to actively want this in all your white decks. The fact that it makes 2 bodies is super relevant because of other cards that we're going to see. But yeah, I think it's super good.
Yeah, I think I'm at 6 on this too. 2/2 that makes a 1/1 seems super good. Enlist could be somewhat relevant with it too.
I think the enlist is like mildly irrelevant. Just like even if it didn't have enlist, I think I would probably still be as high as I am on it.
I agree. I'm not giving it any points for enlist right now, but I think enlist was just an added bonus. Like I don't think like a 2/2 that makes a 1/1 would just be like a 6 for 3.
Yeah.
Like,
but then the next
Yeah.
turn it attacks for 3 when you tap the token, so it's a 3/3 for 3, which is pretty good, decent stats on its own.
No, it's a 3/2 for
3/2. That's right.
which is way worse. You know, that's like if enlist gave toughness too, I think it would be completely different.
Yeah.
Like,
let's
I think
be
it would
real.
actively good.
It's gonna be a 4/2 for 3. That makes a 1/1.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna tap a 2/1. It's gonna be fine.
Argivian Phalanx. It's 5 and a white for a human core soldier. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control, and it has vigilance. I think this is like what's gonna bring the white decks together. Like I think like the card that we saw right before makes this card a lot better. I'd probably give it a 6, but
I'm higher on that. I think it's a 7. I think this card's gonna be
7?
I think this card's gonna cost 2 to 3 like a lot, and it's gonna be you're gonna double spell it. It's gonna be insane. Like I think this is the card you want if you're in the go wide deck. It's kind of built around 7, right? Because like it only goes in the go wide deck.
Yeah,
obviously.
like you don't splash this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a cycle of these for like each color that like cost 1 less for like each like card in your graveyard or instant or sorcery or whatever. This is like the best one by like a lot, I think.
I'm giving this one a 5. I think it'll probably be 4 costed most of the time, or maybe like 3. You know, that's pretty good for like a 4/4 vigilance creature. The vigilance is pretty nice on this too. I think it's pretty nice. I mean, there's so many token makers and generators that you're just going to accrue, even like the card before it. That'll just lower this guy's cost immediately to 4, so that it just curves out of me. It's pretty good already to curving out like that. Yeah, I give it a 4, 5. I give probably 5. 5.
Didn't Sunblade
Forever.
Samurai cost 5?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good though. It also got you a land. Yeah,
Well, it got you a land, or it was a 4/4. It didn't do
Yeah.
both.
Sunblade Samurai is better than this.
No, wrong.
Yes, yeah, it was an enchantment.
It was an
What
enchantment. This is gonna cost 2, 3, 4 max.
4 probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's a 6, maybe a 6. I'm leaning more towards 7 than I am 5.
Wow.
All right, next we have Artillery Blast. It's a colorless and a white, 2 CMC for an instant. It has Domain, which Domain's a new mechanic that does things based off the number of basic land types among lands you control. Domain Artillery Blast deals X damage to target tap creature, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. Instant to deal damage to a tap creature has gotten like way worse, and like this is like conditional tap damage. Like you might not even have it when you need it, but it's always gonna do at least like 2, right? It's like 2 for 2 is not terrible, but it's tapped. I think this is like a 4. It could shoot up to like a 6 if you're like heavy Domain, but to me this is a 4.
I see it as a 4, maybe a 6 in certain situations. Actually, it's pretty good that it's just that a tapped creature doesn't have normally the attacking clause or something like that, and so it's pretty nice when they're tapping their guys for enlist. You know, you could take out the guy pretty quick there. You're right. I mean, it's dealing a lot less damage than we normally see for spells like this. You know, it deals at the very least 2, and the ceiling on this is 6 damage. If you have any other tapping effects, you know, it just becomes a straight up removal spell. So I think it fluctuates, you know, from a 4 to a 6 for me, depending on how many permanents you have that are able to tap the opposing creatures. But for me, I think it's 6.
I think it's probably like a 5. Like I'm right in the middle of you guys. Like I don't think you're ever gonna cut this from like Domain decks, and like even if you're in a pinch, like it's probably gonna wheel. Like you're gonna pick these up pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably okay. Like it's just mid removal.
Hence the 5.
It's
5,
chaff.
yeah,
It's chaff
bad.
removal, hence the 4.
Yeah, it's bad.
I will say there are stun counters in this set, so that could make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's the
keep
thing.
things
too.
I mean, I guess like if you're in the domain deck, like you're gonna be like more late game centric. So like this will be better in that deck for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd be happy if it could at least do 4 damage. That's destroying quite a bit of different creatures.
I'm pretty sure every time I will ever cast this, it will be for 6 damage. For sure.
All right.
Like I think in the domain deck you're gonna be casting for 3, like a lot. Because like that's what you're gonna do on turn 3.
In like normal decks, you'll be casting it for 3 damage. Because like normal 2-color decks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like it's not that bad. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think 3 damage for something like that's pretty good. So now we got Benelish Faith Bonder. 1 colorless, 1 white for a 1/3 human cleric. It's got vigilance and enlist. It's a pretty good curve filler. That vigilance is pretty nice. The toughness is actually pretty good here too with the enlist mechanic. I feel like a lot of them have a lower toughness, so this may be one of the higher ones we may see a little bit later as that changes. But I think it's pretty decent. Doesn't really fuel itself. It's a 4 for me.
Yeah, I'm like on a 4. I think it's mild ass. But
You guys trolling me right now? This is a 4?
yeah, maybe. No, yeah, it's a 4. It doesn't. I don't think it. Like what deck? I don't know what deck this goes in.
Any deck that plays 3/1s, any aggro deck.
Any deck that plays 3/1s. You mean any deck that plays 1/3s?
No, any
I
deck
don't
that
like
plays
that.
3/1s, this goes in. This enables your 3/1s to get in there 3
Okay.
damage.
I'll go up to 5, but I don't even think 5. No, I'm just keeping it at 4. I'm keeping it at 4.
Man, I'm high on this, but you guys are just
Well, what do you
tapering
think?
down
What do
my
you think?
expectations. I don't know. Like I feel like if I have a 2/1, this is a 3/3 vigilance for 2. This is Jewel Thief
Jewel Thief shut
with a
up.
2/1.
Shut the hell
This
up.
is Jewel
That's
Thief for
bullshit.
2. I mean, it's obviously not going to be like that good. It doesn't make a treasure and doesn't have trample, but like it's going to be good. Like
That's not Joel Thief at all.
I'll go
Yeah,
6.
You're tripping.
This is Dollar Tree Jewel Thief.
All right, next one. I like this guy. Banalish Sleeper. 1 and a white for a Phyrexian human soldier. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked for 1 black mana, each player sacrifices a creature. This is a hard 7. This is sick. This is fire. Like, this is where you want to be at in white, I think. Because you're going to have all those tokens floating around, like your 1/1 tokens. Like, yeah, straight gas.
Your opponent's going to have tokens to sack too, but
Yeah,
the
good.
3/1 for 2, like I'm always in for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm always in for the 3/1 for 2, and it has upside.
Hyper aggressive.
Yeah, for sure. What did you say? A 7?
Yeah, that's just like one of the best white commons, I think.
I don't think I can go 7. I think I might have to go 6.
Well, I like this guy because he's pretty aggressive. That 3/1 just on its own stats is pretty decent. It's a pretty good attacker. The kicker's pretty nice as well. Something to note in this set is that all the kicker costs are actually off color. There's no colorless ones, so normally you'll see some allied color, some enemy colored things. So it's that's kind of interesting to note here. It's kind of like Fleshbag Marauder, right? Like when it's kicked, it's like a hard.
Yeah, that's
Marauder.
good.
I don't know how many times I've actually gotten people with Fleshbag, but when I have, it's been pretty damn good.
I think it's almost better though, because like the fact that like you don't have to you don't have to do it, right? Like so
especially when you're like curving out if you got like this guy at the
just
start
a
of a curve.
beer.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. I'm on a 6 with this guy. I think it's pretty good. I think it's making my deck most of the time if I'm
Do you think you would play this in decks that don't have access to black mana?
I probably would not.
I would.
Unless the deck was very aggressive.
Yeah, I think it's like not the end of the world. Like, it's still a 3/1 for 2. I played many of those in my day. Yeah.
By choice?
Yeah, vanilla 3/1s. Yeah.
I'm all about the 3/1 for 2.
Vanilla 3/1s are fine, Andrew. You're tripping.
Yeah, 3/1s. 3/1s are good. Okay, next we have Captain's Call. 3 colorless and a white. It's a sorcery, and it's create 3/1/1 white creature tokens. 3/1/1s for 4 is like fine. It's like super mid grade to me. I think it's just like your run of the mill 5, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a little bit lower. Like you're only gonna want this in the decks that you super care about going wide. I mean, you might want it in late game decks too as chump blockers, but it's not as good there. Like you're not super thrilled about it. So I'm gonna give it a 5. Run of the mill card.
Captain's Call. Look at that. It just completely blanks Benelish Sleeper. Like every single way. Yeah, this is definitely a 6 for me. That's a lot of presence on the board immediately for 4. It seems like a lot of these enlisters are going to be more on the lower toughness side, so this is going to trade with a lot of things. So you might get the 2-for-1, and if you're really lucky, you get the 3-for-1. But all that presence on board for 4 mana is pretty decent, I think. Normally we get things for like we'll get 2 tokens out of something like this. So this is a little bit more aggressive. I like it. It's a 6 for me.
All right. This card is straight gas pack. And it is basically half of an Imperial Oath, which is sick. For 4 mana, like it's like a little wish version Imperial Oath. It's sick. I give it a 6.
Okay, it's less than half of an Imperial Oath for more than half of the price.
But it's still pretty good. Like it's an early Imperial Oath,
It's 4. It costs 4. It's not early.
Yeah, that's way earlier than Imperial Oath, which costs 6.
Yeah. You get 6 total less power and toughness. You don't get to scry 2 cards, and you don't get vigilance. And you got all that for 2 more mana in Imperial Oath.
Yeah. Imperial Oath's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you
Oath
dare.
Is way higher, right?
I feel like
this is like a mini Imperial Oath.
I feel like you wouldn't be saying that if Imperial Oath was sitting right here right now. If Imperial Oath was talking to you right now, you would not be calling Captain's Call Imperial Oath in front of its face.
All right. The next one is Charismatic Vanguard. It is 2 colorless, 1 white for a 3/2 dwarf soldier. It's 4 colors. Its ability is 4 colorless and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. Decent. It's going to get there. I feel like the ability, they've kind of learned now that kind of +1/+1 extra ability, that 5 is kind of where they've kind of settled on it. I think that's about right for this. It's not going to make my deck every time, but I think it's a 4 for me.
I'm at 4 too. Like, there's never a day where I would ever want to play this over the other common 3-drop that makes a 1/1. Like, never. Like, it just seems slow.
I agree. It's a 4.
Sweet.
Maybe even a 3.
Citizen's Arrest. Okay. It's a 1 and double white for an enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, exile target creature, planeswalker, and opponent controls until Citizen's Arrest leaves the battlefield. Mid enchantment removal. I give it a 4. Maybe a 5. It'll get rid of something, but like you always have to worry about it coming back whenever you play enchantment removal.
Not super worried, especially not in best of ones. Like no one's gonna play enchantment destruction in best of ones. This is a white
Everyone
murder.
does in best of ones. Like
really.
In best of 3s, like you're gonna win game 1 with your Citizen's Arrest. But then like after people start sideboarding their enchantment.
There's no enchantments to kill in this besides like a few white removals.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be. This is white murder. It's 7.
You're tripping.
Straight 7.
I think this is pretty good. I think something that's going to hold it back from getting splashed and being played regular is that double white casting cost. That's going to be pretty tough, especially if you're going to go in that domain kind of way. And most of the decks are probably going to be about at least 2 colors. But if you're going into that 3rd color, double white spells, you're not going to curve out with that thing very often if you're 3 colors. That being said, it's still an O-ring. It's still pretty good. It's like a journey to nowhere. And then it can tag a planeswalker if they're super lucky and get a planeswalker in their pool. It's probably a 7 for me, actually. I think it's really strong, and it's probably going to be one of the best removals in white that you can get.
I like artillery blast better.
Oh my god. It's not
Hot
even
take.
close.
Hot take.
This is unconditional, just hits it. It doesn't have to be tapped. Just goes for it.
Yeah, it costs one more mana though.
Yeah. And the one more white mana too. It's pretty rough. But I think that's where I'm kind of lying on it.
Yeah, it's O-Ring. It's super good. Clockwork Drawbridge. I always get straight heat. Alright. Clockwork Drawbridge costs 1 white. So 1 CMC. It's a 0/3 defender. 2 mana and a white. Tap target creature. I will say this is the first time we've seen a defender. There is a defender deck in this. And this is kind of like a 5 in that deck. In every other deck, this is like a 3, maybe even lower.
I feel like it's lower. Yeah. In other decks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh, what are you giving it?
I'm giving it a 3.
3. Oh man. No love for the drawbridge. I think it's actually pretty good. I really like these kind of things. You know, it slows down the game quite a bit. You know, at 1 white and an 0/3, that's blanking quite a few early plays there, and then it just goes into the late game with the tapping ability. I've always found that tapping abilities like that have always been pretty decent in the late game. You know, just tapping down their best creature and just kind of getting in there. I kind of like it. I think it's pretty splashable. I mean, just that 1 white is pretty nice and a decent ability that doesn't cost very much. You know, I'm actually at a 5 with this. I think it goes into my deck quite a bit of times, especially if I'm doing some sort of late game strategy in my draft decks, or I'm trying to go to the more mid to late game. I think it's going to be good, and it combos well with our little friend, the artillery blast, as well.
Amen.
You got 5 white mana around and really want to kill a 3/3? But I have a solution for you. You just need a Clockwork Drawbridge and an artillery blast.
That ain't too hard. It's not too
Okay,
hard.
I think this is like I think this only like you only put this in a defender deck. Like you need defender payoffs to want to ever put this in your deck. I think, but in that deck, I think it's even like a 6. Just because it's so cheap
And it says
as like a defender. Yeah, I think specifically in the defender deck, I think it's amazing. But like I don't think you even put this in other decks unless you have defender payoffs. Like maybe if you're like just super choked on playables, but
Oh man,
I think it's also a negative that's an artifact.
yeah, that is pretty. Yeah,
Like low key, but yeah, I give it like a 5 in the defender deck or a 6 in the defender deck, but outside of that, I don't think you want it. I think it's like a borderline 2.
whoa, man.
I don't think I don't know what you do with this outside of the defender deck.
I feel like you'll get this last card several times while you're drafting.
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
pick them up, and then I'll go to the finals with this really slow deck. All right. Next up, we have Destroy Evil. 1 colorless, 1 white. It's an instant, and it's a choose 1. You either choose destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater, or destroy target enchantment. Great. Love these modal cards. They're always a lot of fun. Destroy 4 toughnesses. It's normally pretty decent. In destroying enchantment, having that kind of attached to is nice in your best of ones. Even in your 2 out of 3 games, cards like these are normally pretty good. And they make the cut most of the time. It's not gonna severely impact the game, but sometimes when you get that enchantment, you can just tag something really good with that. It's a 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm at 5. It's good. Like you're gonna want at least like having one of these is always nice.
Absolutely.
Like I always like to have one main board.
I don't know. This could just completely blank against some decks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But like when it hits pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're getting like such a good rate. Cause like what creature that has toughness 4 or greater costs less than 2 mana? Like
Yeah.
you're always trading up with it, like mana wise. I like cards like this.
Lots of defenders, I think.
I don't even think there's any like 04 defenders that cost less than 3 mana.
Really?
I don't think so. Like all the other ones are like 02s, 03s for 2 mana.
I thought there was like a 1-4 or a 2-4. I don't know. I could be mistaken. I don't know. But I'm gonna give this a 4. Like I'd rather play like a lot of different removal over it. This is, I mean, it's good because it's modal. Like the extra option is like, super good.
Yeah.
But like if we had 4.5, that's where I'd be. But we don't. So
Yeah.
4.
Good.
Griffin Protector, 3 and a white for a creature Griffin. Flying whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Griffin Protector gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And it's a 2/3. I think this is pretty mid. I don't think you want to spend 4 mana for this. I give this like a 4.
Yeah, I'd way rather play like the 4/4 vigilance than this
Yeah.
at 4 slot. So yeah, I give it like a 4.
That's not flying, right? But
There might be like, and I don't know about this for sure. There might be this like some little instant deck where you can do some stuff like on their turn, and if you can do that, like maybe it gets a little bit better. But I
don't think you want to block with this.
I don't think you're ever blocking with it. I don't think
Yeah, you're
with
sending the boy in.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is just, it's not good. You know, it's encouraging you to tap out on your turn. So it doesn't really fit in with the blue-white strategy of just holding up some mana there. It's not very aggressive for a 4-cost creature in flying. Normally we see 3/3 flyers in that spot, or like even a 3/2, which is still trading with this. And it's just, there's not a lot of upside. It's a 2 for me. It'd have to be in some green strategy or some white strategy, and I just don't feel it's there.
All right. So next, we have
Let's let Ryan overrate this card real quick.
Oh my gosh! I'm trying to do a card intro. No. Next we have Heroic Charge. It's 2 colorless and a white, so 4 CMC for an instant. Has kicker 1 in a red. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. If the spell is kicked, those creatures also gain trample until end of turn. You know, you're hearing me correctly. This is white overrun for 6 at instant speed. Could be 4 if you don't need the trample. This is probably in the right deck, like in the white go wide deck. This is probably like an 8, but most decks will be like a 6.
I can't count how many times I've lost to a card like this. Like, I always just don't respect it every time, and it just gets me. But that being said, once you see it one time, you know, you can kind of adjust for it in the other games, you know, just knowing that they're willing to play a card like this. The trample is kind of the real kicker on this, and I'm glad you brought up overrun, because that, you know, the trample on overrun was actually the real game ender there. I think it's pretty good, actually. I like that the kicker, it's in a right color for it. You know, it's a very aggressive. Boros has always been that kind of aggressive. You need a way to finish out the game, and I think this does it really well. And it'll be kind of fun with your enlist guys if you got a few extra guys there. You know, they get a bit bigger, and then you give them the trample as well on that. It's pretty good. It goes go wide. It goes all kinds of ways. I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 5. Oh man, if I could do like a 5.5, I'd do it. But I'm gonna rate it as a 5. Although I do think the kicker helps it out quite a bit, and it's edging towards a 6 for me.
It's like a low 5 for me. Like, I think the kicker cost is actually more prohibitive than you would think it would be. I don't think the red-white deck wants this as much as the green-white deck. Like, I feel like the green-white deck, like, is the one that makes more tokens, which is where you would want this. I don't know. I give it like a low 5. I don't love it. It's gonna wreck me. but I don't like it.
Next up, we have Juniper Order Root Weaver. It's a 1 colorless, 1 white for a human druid 2/2 creature. It's kicker 1 green. When Juniper Order Root Weaver enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, give it a +1/+1 counter, or put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. You know, we've seen a lot of these kind of creatures at that 2 spot that are just 1/1s that give another creature a +1/+1 counter. I don't know. This is pretty decent as you get a 2/2, so it's just a bear just kind of sitting there on its own with a little bit of upside, giving one of your best creatures. I think this is pretty good. I'll give it a 4. I think it's not bad.
I think it's like a 5. It's still just a 2/2 for 2, but like I think the ability will be relevant. I like it. I like it.
I mean, a 2. Ugh, nah, a 2/2 for 3 that puts a counter is like borderline unplayable, and it's
Yeah, but like you don't get
color
to
that does that.
like you get to
2/2 for
choose,
2.
right? Like that just makes this better in the late game,
Right.
right?
No, I'm saying you get a counter. Like, you get to choose. It does make it slightly better in the late game, but like as
being
a 2 drop, it's
flexible
like
and
not
being able
good.
to play a
Like,
2/2 on 2 when you need to, and having the upside late game to like put a 1/1 counter on a big creature you have to make it able to attack. Like it's flexible enough that I think it's like better than just unplayable trash. Like I think it's okay to have this in your deck.
I mean, I think like this is card 22 or 23 when you're making cuts, and you're like definitely always thinking about like I should probably cut this or
I like it.
all that. But
Yeah.
I'm giving it a
I
4.
think it's
I'm with
gonna make
Andrew.
my deck most of the time. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna. It'll be impactful. Like it's pretty impactful, I guess, towards the end. But even just in a regular white deck, not even having the kicker, the 2/2 bear is pretty decent sometimes.
Yeah, I like having a modal 2-drop that can turn into a 3-drop if I have mana.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, the next one is Mesa Cavalier. 2 and a white for a creature, human knight, flying. Whenever Mesa Cavalier enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, and it's a 2/1. I fucks with it. It's okay. I feel like this is what you want in like the blue-white decks. It doesn't seem super amazing to me though, but it seems pretty decent. It's like Overseer if Overseer was bad. like like it's like a less good Overseer.
Oh, man.
I would give it like a 5.
It's not even close to overseeing.
It's like a bad Overseer. Like a 5.
But yeah,
I think it's okay.
I'm like I'm between 4 and 5. Like
Yeah,
a 2 on
it's
flyer
okay.
for 3 is like fine. Like it's gonna get some damage in.
A
It's
2
gonna
life
gain you
is
2
kind
life.
of
Like
irrelevant, but yeah.
I think there's a few little things that like gaining life does stuff for it, but yeah, I don't even know if there's like a deck completely built around it. I don't think there is. But I could be wrong. But yeah. It's like a 4 to a 5. Like if you need flyers, you're gonna play it, and if you don't, you're not. So I'll go with a 4.
I am
just to be different.
not high on this card. I mean, this is like the Wish version of freaking Overseer, but not even that. It's like the AliExpress. Like you gotta buy this guy in bulk, and it's real bad.
Extra DH gate.
Extra. I mean, this is not even close. I mean, this is a 2 for me. It just doesn't make my deck most of the time. The 2 life is so insignificant in that. I think it gets blanked by so many other flyers or even creatures with reach. You know, 1 toughness is just not good enough.
Yeah, I like it better than a 2. I would play if it had no you gain 2 life, I would still probably then it would probably go to a 4 for me.
Like how
Like I would still
significant is
play
that?
it.
Like how significant is 2 life in the course of the
Not
game?
very much, but like
Yeah.
a 2/1 flyer is just okay. Like it's like mid, but
Yeah.
middle of the road.
I will say there's some black cards that might make you pay 2 life. So like maybe in the white black deck, like the offset of the life that you lose just through playing your own
Yeah.
stuff maybe is there. I don't know.
Yep.
All right. Next we have Samite Herbalist. It's a colorless and a white, 2 CMC. It's a 2/1. Whenever Samite Herbalist becomes tapped, you gain 1 life and scry 1. This is the dude that you're trying to enlist. You're trying to use this as your guy that you're in all the time. Tapping him to gain a life and scry 1 while you're getting in for 2 extra damage because you're enlisting. To me, this is just like it's like a pretty run of the mill 5. Like it's an average 2-drop.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, it definitely gains value once you start enlisting it into the fights here. 1 life and the 1 scry. I think the 1 scry is pretty good. You just get to start manipulating your draws, especially at that early too. If you can get in with this and they don't have anything defending on turn 3, that's pretty good. You start automatically getting that scry in there. The 1 life is pretty nice, but yeah, it's like a cool bonus for it. I think it's pretty good. It's decently aggressive. It's not a 1/1. That's kind of cool that they made it a 2/1. Normally, when you see creatures with a lot of abilities like this, they kind of nerf them out and make them 1/1s. I think it's pretty good. I'd give it a 4. I mean, it's definitely verging on a 5, and then when you get it in the enlist deck, I'm sure that becomes like a 7, or probably a 6, actually, not a 7. But yeah, I think it's good.
I hate it. I genuinely don't like it. I don't think you want to be like gaining life. The scry one is kind of okay.
Yeah.
But like curving out with this is terrible. Like I don't know, I hate it. I genuinely hate it. If there were like 1-drop enlist guys, maybe. But like you're playing this before you enlist.
It's still attached.
Enlist it.
It's like it still fits that curve on 2 because it's a 2/1. It's got defense.
Yeah, but you can attack with this on 3. Unless like your opponent is literally doing nothing.
Even that, it's like even if you trade,
because like this trades with literally everything. Yeah,
On the play? Yeah, I would take this over a 2/2 bear that maybe puts a token on for 3. Like I'm taking this over Juniper, Order, Root Weaver.
I wouldn't.
9 out of 10 times. Maybe even 10 out of 10 times. Maybe if I already have 6 of these and I see a Juniper, I'm like, maybe I'll go 7. Like it's that much better to me, even though I rated Juniper as a 4. Like this is the 2-drop that I want to have in my deck because it does something. Like if I play this and I run it into your 1/1 Death Touch, your 2/2, whatever, and we trade your 3/1, I don't care.
I feel like
I gotta
it
gain life
only
and
does things in like Magical Christmas Land Curve Out World, where like you're playing this, then you're playing it in Lister, then you're waiting a turn. Like it seems super bad to me. I give it a 4.
I think this on 2 and swinging with it, bro.
I think this is a 4, but
I think if you ever get to attack with this on 3 on the play, you're already manipulating your deck to continue that curve out. Man, that seems pretty good.
But imagine like top decking this, like late game. Yeah. It's horrible. Yeah. Like it literally does nothing.
You're not. There's no such thing as late game in the deck that this fits. You don't go to late game unless you're like super enlist, and then it still does stuff.
So you're saying this card goes in a super aggro deck?
I'm not saying it only goes in super aggro deck, but that's its like ideal.
Yeah, I just don't
it's one of its ideal homes to just scry 1 and manipulate.
It's still a 2/1. You're playing a lot of 2/2s in super aggro decks.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it. All right. I don't like it.
Next up, we have Stall for Time. 2 colorless, 1 white for an instant. Kicker, 1 colorless, 1 blue. Tap up to 2 target creatures. If this spell was kicked, put a stun counter on each of those creatures. Stun is a new mechanic. It's actually going to be a new evergreen mechanic that's coming into Dominaria. If a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove 1 stun counter from it instead. Draw a card. I think this is pretty decent. Just tapping 2 creatures on 3 is pretty good. It allows you to get in. And then if you can have and you get to draw a card too, which is great. And then if you happen to get the kicker, you get to stun those creatures too and keep them tapped until the next turn. We see these kind of effects at 6 that may draw you a card or something like that. I think this is pretty strong. I go to 5.
Yeah, I'm not 5. Oh.
Sorry, real quick, I just want to say that you don't get a draw card because of the stun counter.
Yeah,
those
it's
kind of
just
ran
draw a
into
card.
Each other.
You don't have to get the stun. It's just tap 2 creatures, can say draw a card.
Yeah,
it's not contingent on kicking.
It says draw a card. It's a 5 for me. It's good. You're gonna put this index.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 4 to 5. Probably leaning more towards 4, but I don't know. I could be convinced to a 5. Maybe it is 5.
3 mana draw a card, do something cards
Yeah.
always kind of like a way higher win rate than we think.
Yeah. It's gonna save you. It's gonna win you the game. I mean, it's pretty good. You do it on the instep. That seems real strong too. That instant portion of it. Yeah, I like it.
Take up the shield. 1 and a white for instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. I like this trick. I think this is a good trick. Like premium trick. Like tricks that give lifelink always end up playing way better than you think. I would probably give it a 5. I think you want this in white decks. If you have like any high value creatures, like pretty good. I'm a fan of it.
I usually don't like to pay 2 for the indestructible, hexproof, whatever thing that saves your dude. So 2 mana is like expensive, but they're like throwing in the counter and the lifelink. But like saving up 2 mana when you have like a high value creature, like they're just gonna kill it right when you play it, and you're not gonna have the mana to save it. I think it's like a 3 to a 4. Like if you do have a couple super high value creatures, like it goes up a little bit, but I'm gonna give it a 3.
I think the +1/+1 counter is pretty nice. You know, that's normally like a 1 cost ability. The lifelink and indestructible, you know, they're normally tied to that 1 cost area, so you merge them together, then you get 2 costs, which is pretty nice. I kind of wish it had hexproof in that respect. You know, sometimes indestructible isn't enough, and a +1/+1 counter doesn't really get you out of the negative range there. Yeah, I'm a 3 on this. I think the lifelink sometimes is good and it will get you out of a pinch there, but I feel like it sometimes is more defensive than anything else, and it's not really going to win you the game, especially with just one counter.
I think playing this card defensively is probably like it would go down to like a 3, but I think like in an aggro mirror, this just like wins you the game. Like in any aggro mirror, right? Because like getting that extra life in like a race is insane.
Yeah.
That's what pushes it over the edge.
To me, that's a wasted spell slot in the aggro mirror. Like if I had lightning strike or like anything that dealt damage or tap, like even the tap 2 creatures, like is way better to me in the aggro mirror. Like I would almost never play that card in an aggro deck. Like I don't. When I play aggro, my life total is not like a resource to me. Like I think I'll take every hit that you have.
I think this is the card that like the enlist decks want, because you're gonna have creatures with like hella high power and super low toughness, like making them indestructible and giving lifelink, like so they can like hella trade up. I don't know. I like it. I think it's solid. Yeah.
I do think it'll be better than the list decks. Like I agree there, but like in the hyper focused aggressive deck, like
it's always being cut, or it's always on the verge of being
this.
cut from my deck. It's like the last thing I'll put into the deck. Yeah, if I'm
cards like these always have like way higher win rates on 17 lands than anyone ever expects. Like that card from Midnight Hunt. It was a 1 mana trick, but they gave lifelink.
Yeah.
If we want to talk overall win rates on 17 lands, improvement withdrawn. If that card's above 1, I'll admit that I was wrong. There's no shot. There's no shot. In a generic deck, like in the full list, IWD improvement withdrawn is above 1. No shot.
It is insanely high win rate. Look it up.
No,
I'm talking about like this card that we're talking about.
It will be. I will more into better on that.
Okay, but if it's not, you have to admit you're wrong. We'll look back.
Make a note.
Remind me in a month.
Look back in a month.
This card's gonna be way better than you think.
All right. Next we have we're to the uncommons now. We have Cleaving Skyrider. Cleaving Skyrider is a 2 and a colorless, 2 and a white for a 2/2 flyer. Has kicker, 2 and a red, so that would be 6 total mana. Has flash, flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of attacking creatures. So a 2 mana 2/2, flash flying for 3 is like mediocre. It's like fine. Add in another 3 to do X damage where X is the number of attacking creatures, like fine. But like 6 mana is like a lot in like the Boros deck. I don't know. Like I'm kind of lower on this than I thought I'd be initially. Like when I read it, I'm gonna go with a 4. Honestly, like a 2/2 flyer for 3. That's what it's gonna be 90% of the time. And
I think I'm with you. I think I'm on a 4 with this one. I like the flash aspect of it, and so I think just as a creature alone, it's probably a 4. That kicker is pretty nice, but I feel like you really got to work for it. I do like that it triggers on your opponent's attacking too, which is pretty nice. So you can deal to any target, which is kind of cool. You know what? I'm convincing myself this is a 5 now that I read the now that I see the any target. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like this. I think it's a 5, and I think it's gonna.
Yeah, you just convinced
That's a
me.
good point.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
I think even you're going to be splashing some off-color things on those duels when we get to them. These common dual lands, and I think that's something you just randomly pick up, and it's just going to be a good in a random deck that's not devoted to this kind of thing. Just getting that kicker is just that could be a game ender right there. So I think it's good. 5.
Yeah, you just convinced me that this card's way better. But I do not at all think that this card is even remotely aggressive. Like I think this is like a do nothing dirtle card that like for 6 mana you just get to shoot like a 3/3 when they're attacking with 3 creatures.
Yeah, or
like
you just in the game attack with
I
everything.
kind of like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I kind of I've gone up. I think this is like a 5 in like a do nothing dirtle deck.
I just
you
I
splash
just thought of
with this.
something. Yeah.
Like I don't think you play this in like red white decks. I think you play this in 5-color jank decks.
Okay, I'm actually shooting way up. The any target is huge. The total cost of 6 is the same as the white red overrun. So it's both. Like you're representing both when you have this. So if they block everything and you have this, you can just like shoot whatever you need to shoot to kill or whatever. Or like you overrun, right? If they block everything, you overrun. If they, this is just so unconditional, and you can go face. Like this could easily be 6/7 face in the white weenies deck. Like easily 6/7 face on 6. This is a great finisher. I'm up to 6 now. I said 4 at first.
I'm up to 6, but I still like it in dirtle decks. I wouldn't play this aggressively.
I don't know how many times I've been in Boros looking for that last like 2 points of damage with creatures I can't attack with. And I think this just gets me there. Like it just gets you that extra point of burn that you need. And it's kind of weird, this creature, it costs 6, but I think that's pretty nice. Yeah.
And it can be their attacking creatures. Like you can wipe your whole board, they swing at you for 4, you hit them with 4 face. Like
the fear
and
is
block
there.
something
6
if you want. But
all right,
I like it.
I'm up.
I'm up to 6.
Yeah, you're 6 now.
Yeah, I went up. Yeah, I like it. I like it as a do nothing dirtle card. That's much.
Pretty good. From a 4 to a 6 in the matter of a minute or two. Yeah, good stuff.
You got me.
Coalition Sky Knight. 3 colorless, 1 white for a 2/2 human knight. Flying and endless is uncommon. Ah, man. No, I don't like it. It's a 3 for me, straight up. I just don't see this guy doing very much. That 2 toughness is just killer. I think anything really trades with it, even those bad 1/2 flyers that gain you 2 life. Just trading with this guy. Yeah, I think this guy's always dying in combat. And it's just, it's got to be Magic Christmas Land. They don't have any flyers at that point. Or some way to deal with this with a Reacher. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, the fact that this costs 4 mana is egregious. Like, but if Enlist is good, this will be what you want. But I just don't believe that Enlist is that good. I'm higher. I think it's probably like a 4. Because like I could see like scenarios where you could kind of make this good. if you just have a deck full of 3/1s for 2, and your opponent has no flyers, and you can just get in for like with a 5/2 flyer, like it's okay.
I think if you're the enlist deck, like if that's what you're trying to do, if that's a thing,
I just see that it trades
You
with
want it.
every flyer we've
Like,
talked about
you
thus
want it.
far.
Yes. I like a 4 on it.
I mean, it's gonna trade with every flyer.
I
Like
think
anything
this
with
is
2
like
power is gonna trade
the
with every
payoff for
flyer.
enlisting. I don't think like you want an enlist deck with this. I think you will just want a strong deck that you can just put this in as like a 23rd playable card. Like I don't think you want to be hardcore enlist. I think you just want like high power creatures that you can just get in with a flyer. Like I think this is like maybe one of the best enlist cards because I think they're all bad, but
Mm.
a weird one.
I'm at a 5, leaning
5.
towards 6.
I'm not 4.
It's just on turn 4. It's just gonna easily be a 4/2 flyer, maybe a 5/2 flyer, and then like obviously you can't swing until the next turn. But like if you're saying well they're gonna have flyers and reachers, like sure, but like that's with every flyer. Flying is good because I'd say maybe 20 to 30% of the decks you run into are gonna have flying and reachers, if that. And if they do, like you're gonna have other flyers too. This is not gonna be your only flyer. They're gonna have to
It
deal
just
with
has
those
no way to protect
also.
itself
So
from any of the removal too. Like 2 damage is pretty much baseline for most removal spells.
Yeah.
And it
You
just
trades down real fast. Like
yeah.
it's gonna die to everything.
I don't know. I mean, like if you're saying it's bad because people are gonna want to remove it, then to me that's
you're gonna
good.
want to
You know what I
remove it,
mean?
and then
Like
eventually, I guess if you're really aggressive, it'll trade up. But I just don't see it. I just see it getting artillery barrage or whatever. Just like get rid of it or trading with some no nonsense flyer that's out there, especially on 5.
this is gonna pair well with the +1/+1 indestructible
That is
lifelink.
facts.
Like
That is facts.
this is what that
yeah.
was made for.
But it's a 4 mana 2/2. That's what holds it back for me.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a 4 mana 2/3, I would probably go up like two grades
Yeah.
just for that extra toughness.
Yeah.
It just feels so bad to
Yeah.
pay 4 mana for a 2/2.
On an empty board, top decking this guy is just gonna feel real bad.
Yeah, that's facts.
If you have an empty board and this guy's in your deck, then this guy
Okay.
shouldn't be in your deck.
I assume they remove your creature.
All right. Join forces, which is 2 and a white for an instant. Untap up to 2 target creatures. They each get +2/+2 until end of turn. Like a 4. The untap is kind of relevant, but it's a trick. If you want it, you want it. But the untap's nice though. Gives you an extra 4 damage. I like it. It's okay. It's a decent trick.
This isn't the little instant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
deck if
Actually,
there
I don't
is one.
know.
Like
I think you want this
So-
in a more of an aggressive deck. Like
this is like this could be like
Yeah.
kind of removal in an aggressive deck, or in like a deck with flyers, or in a deck with like the little 2/1 blue guys that get an attack. I guess they have vigilance, but like I don't know. It seems like pretty good. Like +4/+4 for
Mhm.
3 to 2 different creatures and untap them.
it
It's
does
very
cost 3
versatile.
mana.
It's very versatile. It does it counter stun counters? Like does
No.
untapping
No,
them get
it
around
takes
stun
the
counters,
stun
or does it
counter
take a
off,
stun
but
counter off?
I think
I
it's
don't
pretty
think
good.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I mean, you just get them back.
That's
Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good. I've liked cards like this before, where it's just, I mean, it leads to so many blowouts. It's good aggressive and defensive, especially when you're stuck in those kind of things. Giving 2 creatures, you might be trading with 2 extra. I like it. It's probably a solid 5 for me. I think I've played some effects like this before in other sets, and they've always just kind of led to a blowout. No one expects getting 2 creatures buffed out of this, and I think 3 is aggressively costed for it too.
yeah. I think this card will win you some amount of games on the spot. Like a non-zero amount of games, this will win you like right there. Like they concede, game's over. Even if you don't win the combat, because like you don't bring their life to 0, you just like kill their 3/3s with your 2/2s, and you have 5 dudes and they have none now. Like that's just GG. And the ceiling's super high. The floor is low. Like the floor is pretty low, but the ceiling's super high. So I think it's a 6.
I don't hate it.
Next we have Knight of Dawn's Light. It's one colorless and a white. It's a 2/2. Human Knight has first strike. 2/2 first strike for 2. If you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. Colorless and a white has an activated ability. Colorless and a white. Knight of Dawn's Light gets +1/+1 until end of turn for 2. A colorless and a white. This card is maybe better than a 7, maybe better than hard removal. This card's insane. It's good on offense. It's just as good, if not better, on defense. It's super good. You can't block it. You can't swing into it without having something in your back pocket. I'm going to give it a straight up 7, like right there with hard removal, but I would definitely not be shocked if
this
it's better.
This guy's always making
removal.
the cut. I mean, this guy is just insane. You hardly ever get to see that +1/+1. I always see like especially when they have first strike, you always see like a +1/+0. And so that's a little weird to see on this guy. You know, the second line of text on that, you gain life a little +1 is kind of a nice bonus to this guy. But this guy is defensive, offensive. He just does it all. I like him. He's a solid 7, 6, 7, 7 for me.
It's a 6 for me. I think he's good. Like, it's weird to see white creatures with fire breathing, but it's like strictly better than fire breathing because like you get the extra +1 of toughness.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. I wouldn't take this over hard removal, but I think it's good. It doesn't give me card advantage like a hard removal would. It's I don't know. It's like a 6.
If I have 2 mana up, because I obviously do because I play this guy, right? And I swing. What can you block him with?
My Sojourner's Companion that I casted on turn 3 with 5 domain. like tons of shit.
Were you the one saying something about Magical Christmas Land with like a 1/3 vigilance that has enlist?
Yeah.
Was that you?
So.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
Okay. I was just okay.
It's never not making the cut. It's a 6 for me. I think you want this.
Yeah.
I don't think it like synergizes with anything, but it's good. It's a strong creature.
Yeah.
If I have 3 mana up, you cannot block. Or if I have 2 mana and it's like between turns 2 to 5, you can't block this. It's basically unblockable. If I pump it once, you have to block it with like 3 2/2s to live. A 3/3, a 2/2, and a 2/1. Yeah, like I don't know. Like it requires at least like 3 blockers most of the time.
To blocking him with that first strike. I mean, you're almost
it's a lightning rod.
Triple blocking and stuff like that. I mean, that is just nuts.
Yeah, that's solid.
I mean, 90% of the time it's just going to get 2 damage in forever, which is like the best thing you could ever ask for a 2-drop.
All right.
So
next up, we have Love Song of Night and Day. 2 colorless, 1 white for an enchantment saga. It has a new mechanic in this set. It's called Read Ahead. Choose a chapter at the start. Choose a chapter and start with that many lore counters. Add 1 after your draw step. Skip chapters. Do not trigger. Sacrifice after 3. So this one allows you to kind of choose your start of where you want on these sagas. So the first chapter is you and target opponent each draw 2 cards. Pretty good. You know, sometimes you just want to get some extra cards if you're ahead. That's pretty nice. If you want to skip that, you can do the read ahead on this one. And then chapter 2 is create a 1/1 white bird creature token with 1. Pretty decent. And then on chapter 3, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. So a little bit of buff there. I think this is pretty decent. We've seen those kind of everybody draws cards in white before at this kind of power level on 3. The white bird creature is nice. So if you want to skip giving your opponents cards, it's pretty good. If you're already ahead, you want to maybe get a little bit further ahead, or if you're really trying to dig for something, that white creature is pretty nice. And then the +1/+1 counters. If you're just trying to end the game on the spot, you need a little bit more. That gets you there. I think pretty solid. I like the read ahead mechanic. That's pretty nice. There's so many times where I've wanted to skip directly to chapter 3 on sagas. So this one is a solid 5.
I would probably go like 4, just because like you are literally hardly like I don't think it's probably ever correct to do like the first
Chapter?
mode of it. Yeah, that seems horrible in like 99% of situations. Like you don't want to give your opponents cards. It's kind of like a big brain card. I don't know. I feel like most of the time this will be bad.
Okay.
But I do like
Okay, Roby.
you do get a 3/3 out of it basically by getting like the bird token and then getting 2 +1/+1 counters. Like that you get 3/3 of stats. It affects the board, but I don't know. It's like a 4 for me.
You remember that 2/2 bear common that you could kick for a green
Yeah.
and put a counter on something? What if that had flying? What if that had flying? Would that be better? Would it be better
Okay.
if it had flying? What if it also didn't cost a green?
I don't know. You're not selling me. You're not
Oh.
selling me. You're not selling me.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's not working.
It's at
I
least as
don't
good as
know.
that card. Like it's at least as good
Skycrier
as that
taught me
card.
that giving opponents cards isn't that bad. In the last set,
Skycrier, yeah.
I was surprised how many times I let my opponent draw cards just trying to dig for something and just winning on the spot there. And I think just getting a flyer and then pumping that flyer is pretty good.
Like if this was just 3 mana, make a 2/2 flyer and put a counter on one other creature. Like, it
Like,
would be
don't get me
hands
wrong.
down
This card
pretty
is
good.
an absolute noob stomper. For sure. Like, this is like the noob crushiest card.
Yeah.
Because, like, if your deck's better than your opponent's,
Oh yeah.
you just full send, dick on the table, draw cards, crush your noob opponent.
I'll tell you right
But
now.
like against good people, I think
Yeah.
this is like a 4.
I'll tell you my rate of not reading ahead and just starting with chapter 1. Game 2 is probably really high once I figure out what they've done game 1.
Yeah.
My deck is better than theirs. Yeah, I'll be drawing
Yeah.
cards all the time.
You heard it here first on Pac-Mates, folks. If someone does Saga 1 against
Yes.
you, they don't respect you.
Yes, for sure.
They don't respect you whatsoever.
It's basically a
and
hate
for that reason
crime
alone, it's a 5.
on Saga, like the first lore counter.
You should
For
literally
sure.
block that person on Facebook.
Phyrexian Missionary. It's 1 and a white for a Phyrexian human cleric with kicker 1 and a black. It's a 2/3 with lifelink. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is basically like Grave Robber or whatever it was called. Gravedigger?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is super good. I like it. It dirtles good. It's got lifelink. Like, yeah. And it's a 2/3 for 2. It's just got good stats. This is like a 7. It blocks Night of Dawn's Light. Super good.
No, never. It can never block that.
Yeah.
With that being said, it's
great
still a
card.
7. It's still a 7.
That's
2/3 lifelink for
amazing.
2.
Yeah.
Like if it had no other text,
Yeah.
that's at least a 6. Like 2/3 lifelink for 2, that's a 6. Kicker for just 2 and
Yeah.
you get something back. Like
It's
this
better
is,
than Grave Robber.
This is
or Grave
the
Gravedigger?
good. This is like little
this is
organ hoarder vibes.
good.
Yeah, it's better. Gravedigger costs
Yeah,
4,
this
and it was
is
just a
sick.
blank 2/2,
This
and it
is-
returns something.
What did you give it? 7?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
give it
this is a
7.
solid 7. You know, if there were no rares in this set that were way powerful, I mean, this guy even goes up higher. That is so aggressive. A 2/3 for 2 with an actual another ability, lifelink on it, is just pretty strong. That guy's getting into the late game, or is just beating down and just making the gap between you and that other aggro deck much wider. And then just being able to rip in the top is not dead to you. I mean, that kicker, getting back your best creature out of the graveyard, is just so solid. This guy is good at every point of the game and just actually aggressive. Yeah, I love it. 7, 8 almost for me. Probably an 8.
If you really want to curve stomp your opponent, Phyrexian Missionary and Knight of Dawn's Light is just can't miss uncommons.
Yeah. My gosh, that's a hit every time with these cards. Man.
Just some real curve stompers. All right. Next we have Prayer of Binding. It's a 3 mana and a white for an enchantment. It has flash. When Prayer of Binding enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Prayer of Binding leaves the battlefield. You gain 2 life. The O-Ring that was double white pipped and cost 3 without flash was a 7. 4. I'll pay the extra 1 for flash and any non-land permanent. And I mean they're throwing in 2 life as just a bonus. Like I think this might even be an 8. I'm gonna go with an 8.
Wow. 8's pretty high. I think the extra life is pretty nice too. You know, especially when you got to get to 4 and take some beatings in. I'm glad they gave you 2 life as a little band-aid there. I think it's a freaking 6. Probably a 7, actually. I mean, non-land permanent, pretty nice. I mean, that just hits anything. Like, how could you not give it below a 7 here? And I think just the 2 life is a good bonus. Flash, great too. You hardly ever see that on some things, so that's good. 7 for me. Very solid. Every time in the deck.
I think this is significantly better than the other one. I still hate it, but it's like a 6 for me. You get the 2 life, it's a better Dirtle card.
Yeah.
Dirtling, when
what
you
is
do
dirtling?
nothing. When you do nothing.
For people that don't know.
And then just somehow win the game. Like, very like...
Dirtling was derived from Muhammad Ali's rope-a-dope method of boxing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, man. All right.
But I think this is better. Like I think pack 1 pick 1. I'm taking this over the double
yeah,
pip
I'll
one.
take this over
honestly,
that. Pack 1 pick 1. I mean, we won't see it as much because it's an uncommon, but I think you just got to take it. It's imminently splashable in any colors combination. That 1 white, and it's pretty good at any point of the game there with that flash. And you can get the 2 for 1 if you're really good. when they're making their creature indestructible and not hexproof. It's gonna feel real good.
Or or when they O-ringed your creature and then you hit their O-ring and get your dude back and block.
And even when you're enlisting, I mean, my gosh, this card's going to be a beating. That flash just really turns it up quite a bit. All right. We're looking at Resolute Reinforcements. It's a 1 colorless, 1 white human soldier creature. It's a 1/1 with flash. When Resolute Reinforcement enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. This is pretty good. It's not gonna... I think it's making my deck every time, but I mean, it's just nice to have 2 bodies split up. Maybe it's not making my deck every time. Shoot. It's a 5. It's a 4 for me. No, it's a 5 for me. It's kind of good. You can get them sometimes with that. Yeah, it's 5.
This is a hard 6 for me. This is good. This is what you want to be doing in your wide aggressive decks. You want to go wide? This helps you do it.
Yeah.
The fact that it has flash is super nice.
Yeah.
Like blocking a 3/1 with your little 1/1 creature token is sick. It's kind of defensive.
Yeah.
I like it. It's versatile enough. I think you play this in literally every single white deck.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're getting just a little shock value because there's so many good white 2-drops. And you're just like, this guy's just a 7 or 6 or 5 or whatever because we got the 2/2 first strike, we got the 2/3. But like this guy's right up there with them. Like I think it's like pretty good. Like if if this was the first one I saw, I maybe would have gave it a 7. Like right now I think it's just a 6 because like I think you're gonna pick the 2/3 and the first strike maybe over this, but like I don't know if you're always gonna pick it over this. Like especially the 2/3 white black one. Like there'll be scenarios where you pick this over that. But I think it's still like a 6, trending towards 7.
So the next card is Runic Shot. 1 white mana for a sorcery with kicker 1 blue mana. Destroy target tapped creature. If the spell was kicked, scry 2. This is like low key a sleeper, I think. I think this is a 7. Like, I think the fact that it costs 1 mana, even though it's sorcery speed, is pretty gross. Pretty disgusting. I would give this a 7. I think this is premium removal. Like, it still has drawbacks,
Yeah.
but like being able to scry 2 is kind of cute. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Path to Exile's generally not a shocker to
yeah.
anyone when it's good. So
This is
this
the
is definitely worse than that,
Path
but
to
like
Exile.
it's very good. Like especially if that tap to draw a card is good, like this is gonna make that even better. The instant one, and then yeah, I'm with you. It's a 7. Like 1 mana to kill anything that's tapped.
I might
is, like,
be a little
good.
bit down because, like, now that I think about it, I don't know that I would take this over the Grave Robber for 2.
Yeah.
Like, this might be like a 6. Or that might just be an 8. But
yeah, that might be.
I think this is very good, though.
Yeah, I think I went to an 8 on that guy. But I think this is, man, cards like this, especially when their sorcery is just so brutal, because it's just, you could just lose on the spot. It's not the greatest thing to top deck, especially if they're already in a kind of winning position. I mean, it does get the creature, but you got to take the beating first. The Scry 2 kind of helps out a little bit there. I'm a 6 on this. It's just that sorcery speed just really gets me. If it was instant, we'd be into that 7, 8. We'd probably be in that 7 category, but I got to dock at a point for sorcery.
That seems fair to me.
I feel like if it was instant, we'd be in the 9, 8, 9
the
category.
provision of it being tapped is just, that's kind of rough too, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with 7.
Yeah,
I think it's still
good.
premium removal. I think I'm gonna be super.
Yeah, this is not at all an
too.
aggressive card. Like, I think it's a mistake to put this in an aggressive deck.
Yeah, it's good in the flyer deck too. Like you're getting in with the air, they're getting in on the ground. Like
you kill their
grounding.
That's pretty nice. You get
It's pretty good at
normally you get
combating in list.
So it's kind of nice to have that at 1.
All right, next we have Shalai's Acolyte. It's 4 colors and a white for a 3/4 creature angel. Has kicker 1 and a green, so that would bring the CMC up to 7. It's a flyer. If Shalai's Acolyte was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it, so potentially a 5/6 for 7 or a 3/4 for 5. 5/6 for 7 flying is like humongous. It's like kind of absurd. 3/4 for 5 is like whatever. People play those.
Yeah.
They've always been played. That's like a 5. I'll put it like right in between. Maybe a 6, maybe 5.5. I'll go with the 6 if you're in the white green deck and you like really want it.
Yeah, I think this is a 6 for sure. I mean, this 3/4 flyer, already good stats. People play them all the time. I've played them quite a bit. And then just getting some upside at 7. It's a little steep, but getting a 5/6 on just an empty board is good, or just pumping your guys on the ground, giving that little extra push there is pretty nice. Oh no, I'm sorry, you don't even give it to them. It's just a 5/6. Ooh, this is better, worse than I thought. I'm going to 5.
I think it's a 6. It's got insurance, like you can have a big flyer. Like I don't know what's gonna deal with it for like with a 5/6 flyer super profitably. Like it seems good to me.
Yeah, at 7. That's
fan.
I mean, at 7 you're verging in territory where that.
Yeah, but like it's green, so you should be ramping into this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like above curve. It actually is nice curve for most of the time when you get that. Like at 5, you expect like a 4/4 flyer, or 3/4 is pretty a little.
3/4 is okay.
Yeah, but at 7, a 5/6 is pretty nice. I think that's pretty good cost right there.
And this is like your curve topper when you don't have curve toppers, kind of. It's like it's like when you didn't draw the mythic rare. At least you have a 5/6 flyer.
You gotta have some finisher. All right.
I'm excited for this next one.
Oh gosh, yeah, we've been talking about it quite a while about these defender payoffs. Here we go. Wing Mantle Chaplain, 3 colorless, 1 white for an 0/3 human cleric. It has defender. When Wing Mantle Chaplain enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying for each creature with defender you control. Whenever another creature with defender enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 bird creature token with flying. Well, that's pretty decent in a defender deck. That's a lot of birds. You know, if you can get that payoff, I think that's a good way of doing it. An 0/3 is a little bit less than what you'd think for something like this kind of creature, especially at 4. You know, I was kind of hoping it would be like even a 1/3, but you know, just getting a payoff for every time you play a defender after this is pretty nice. Getting that 1/1 flyer in there. Gosh, this guy's pretty good. I mean, it's a 7 in a defender deck alone by itself without the defenders. I mean, you're probably talking into the 2s or 3s here because it's just doing nothing. It gives you 1, so you're basically getting an 0/3 with a 1/1 flyer and a non-defender deck. You know, I mean, this is the ceiling on it's really high, but just as standalone in a deck, no defenders, it's a 2 for me.
Yeah, this is a solid 9 for me. This card is grotesque. I think this card is going to be fucking stupid. Like this is basically like Drake Haven. Like making 1/1 flyers is extremely good. And like the fact that like whenever it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 bird for each creature you have with defender. Like if you have like 2 or 3 defenders and you're putting like 3 birds onto the battlefield, that is disgusting. Like that's not super like hard to do. I think this card's gonna be like the best build around in the format. Like there's gonna be times where you can get like 2 of these and just roll people.
Yeah.
Like I think this is insane. Best Dirtle card in the set.
Literally, me and Roby did a draft sim, which I know like obviously their pick is all screwed up. You know, they don't know what to pick, but we just picked one this, and the deck is insane. The deck is insane.
Yeah. It looks stupid. Like
this is not even the win con of the deck.
No.
This is just a secondary win con of the deck.
But
it's sorry. There's I guess it's Esper is the main colors for the defender deck. Throwing a little bit green. Like I think Esper has like the most payoffs. Like Esper has 1 of each uncommon, and then there's some good green defenders as well, at least 1.
You're gonna need the uncommons for the defender deck, but like I think this is like the best uncommon for the defender deck.
There's one that drains.
There's one in black. Oh shit! I didn't even.
Yeah, there's one that drains and one that mills. So, and those are the uncommon like payoffs, and they're in Esper. So like to me, this is like the second best one. Well,
I don't know.
It's probably tied.
Like,
it's probably tied with the drain. A 1/1
flyer is always better than draining. I think, like, because that sticks around. Like that trades. You know, if you ever need to, that seems gross to me.
Continuous draining.
Continuous draining, like every turn.
Like pay mana and drain.
Oh. Yeah.
Like let's see. Let me see.
The fact that this doesn't cost mana and you're just like making birds for no reason is gross to me. Like,
how do you rate it outside of the defender deck? Like,
I don't think you really play this.
Yeah, see,
unless
that's
you're in a defender deck.
Christmas land scale here, where you actually have the deck. Are we rating on a? This is just like
I don't think it's a play around. It's a build around 9.
It's a build around for sure. Like as a
build around 9
like
though.
8, you know,
like I think this is like the best thing you can be doing.
Like I see this pack deck. 1, nothing really good in the rare or mythic slot. This guy's getting into the deck right away, and then I'm going for it. But if it's like late game and it just hasn't materialized, I haven't really picked up any defenders along the way.
I think if you get like 2 or 3 defenders, I think the threshold of like how many birds you get to make this good is 2. So if you have like 1 other defender on the battlefield when you play this, like I think it's probably like if you have like 2 or 3 defenders in your deck, I think it's probably like a 4 or 5. I think you could do it, but I don't. It's not like busted levels of.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the rating goes higher as you get more defenders in your deck. But I think the threshold on me on this, like if I had like 4 defenders in my deck, I might play it. It just doesn't feel like the payoff's there, especially if you draw it and your other half of your defenders are in the bottom half of your deck. You just got a 0-3 and a 1-1 flyer.
A 1-1 flyer isn't nothing though.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Like that's that
Kind
like,
of.
the fact that you get a 1-1 flyer, like the fact that these have flying,
Yeah.
it's pretty good to me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not bad. It trades with a 1-2 flyer that gains you 2 life.
Yeah, that's true.
The black one is a 2-mana 3/3, and you can defender, and you can pay 3 and drain for however many defenders you have. Pay 3, tap, and drain. So, but anyway, like I think this is something that if you see around picks 3 through 5, you move in.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard to first pick this, just because like you could get blanked if you try to force too hard. I mean, you could first pick with like a huge like risk, saying like if there's anything good pack 2 that's not related to this, like I'm gonna do it. You have to be like kind of disciplined to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're seeing the payoff signals around picks 3 through 5, or especially like even later than that, like you just move in.
Yeah, I'd spec on it even first pick if there was nothing.
I would
good
first
in
pick
Mythic or Rare.
this all day, every day.
I mean, I have to check my Mythic or Rare. You know, that might be pretty savage, but I could spec pick that. It goes into a lot of decks, and it's flexible enough for you to throw it in. You know, if you're saying like the Esper deck is a real thing, it does kind of slot in there just at that one white casting cost. You know, and was it 3 and white? It's pretty good.
Would you pick it over premium removal?
Yes.
Pick one?
Yes.
I think I would. You know, it splits itself into multiple creatures, so you know, it's not 1 for 1ing. It's probably 2 for 1ing or 3 for 1ing over the course of a game. And if you really got the defender payoff, then you're really into some over the top territory there.
Like if you get like 3 birds off, if you get like 3 or 4 birds off this, like just playing it, like that is obscene.
Yeah,
yeah, but like the cost of getting 3 or 4 birds is playing 3 or 4 defenders.
Yeah.
Like, which is like a non-zero cost in the deck that's not like streamlined. Like,
I don't know.
I would pick premium removal over this pick one.
I would never. I would never in a million years.
Yeah, I'd have to assess the pack a little bit, but
I wouldn't. I would see this and I would take it. Yeah, this guy's insane to me. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. If you have the deck, it's gonna be a 9. If you don't have the, like, I'm gonna evaluate it right now as a pack 1, pick 1, 6. Like, you would take it in like a pretty weak pack. But obviously it goes in a certain deck, and if you don't have that deck, you just don't play it. So
it's getting cut pretty quick there.
Yep.
Anointed Peacekeeper, which is 2 and a white for a human cleric with vigilance. As the anointed Peacekeeper enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand and choose any card name. Spells your opponents cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So this is like Elite Spellbinder. I think it's worse because it doesn't have flying, but it's still pretty good. Like this is it gets less good in draft because like there's not going to be as many duplicates, but I would still probably say like 7. I would take this over removal.
Yeah, I think you forgot to say the power toughness.
Oh, it's a 3/3 for 3. Yeah, 3/3
with vigilance.
I said vigilance. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm reiterating.
Yeah, you're good. I like it.
What did you?
It's like
you said a 7.
Yeah, I take this over removal.
Yeah. So then maybe an 8. Then is that what you're saying?
I don't rate removal that high. But
yeah, I would probably take this over removal pack 1, pick 1. I don't know. It is a 3/3. I'd probably call it an 8. It's an 8. It's an 8.
Hey, it's aggressively costed for what it is. 3/3 with vigilance is always that's pretty decent. You know, having that ability there. I think it's kind of cool that it gives you a little bit of flexibility about the activated abilities of a chosen source. So if it's already in play, it's never really blank, so long as there's some sort of activated ability there, you're not just straight up guessing. Game 2, obviously, this gets a lot better. Yeah, I think this guy, he's definitely like one of the most buff clerics I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, just those arms alone
He's
are
a shit tier cleric.
yeah.
bad flavor. I don't appreciate it.
Those guys are 0. You should be no books are that heavy that you're getting those kind of marbles.
Yeah.
He's
That's
a barbarian on Halloween.
Yeah.
He's a barbarian on Halloween.
He cheating on his cleric test for sure.
He definitely did. I give him a 6. Like this guy's pretty good. He's obviously better game 2 he's definitely game 2. You just sideboard this guy in if he wasn't already in your main deck, which he probably is because it's 3/3 with vigilance.
Well, you get to look at the opponent's hand before you choose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And you get to choose any card name, not just the one card.
Yeah.
So, like, if they have multiple copies of a removal spell, and you make them all cost 2 more, and you're like in aggro of some sort, like that's pretty good. It's like borderline 9 to me. Like I'm going with 8, but it's borderline like in the aggro deck, it's going to be like the 3-drop that you want.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this guy he gets outclassed by so many things on the ground most of the time. That 3/3. The other one, the flyer was really good because it was like a 3/1 flyer that was just get out there. It had a good evasion. This guy's like he's all right.
Yeah, but he makes their 3/1. Anything he gets outclassed by cost 2 more. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
He's a 6.
Maybe.
Like messing up your opponent's next turn.
Yeah.
Is like pretty relevant.
Aggro deck?
Like that's what puts him over the top for me.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Archangel of Wrath. 2 colorless and 2 white. It's a 3/4. Has kicker black and or red. Flying lifelink. So 3/4 flying lifelink for 4 up to 6 if you have black and red. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target. And when it enters the battlefield, if it's kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target. I do think the lifelink will trigger since it does the 2 damage. Yep. So you're going to gain up to 4 life and do up to 4 damage. And at the end of the day, it's a 3/4 lifelinker for 4 flying, which is insane. This is probably an 8, maybe a 9. Probably a 9. We'll go with 9.
This may be my first 10. I mean, this thing is pretty crazy. Being able to split that between any target is just wow. Kick twice.
Yeah.
You could get a 3-for-1 with this. 2-for-1 at least. Just for entering the battlefield, it's killing 2 things. Or just going face for that matter. I mean, my gosh, this is a 10. This is a 10. I mean, 3/4 body, it's aggressively costed 2 on that if you're just playing it just straight out for curve purposes. Yeah, I don't think there's any point in this at time that this is bad. It's a 10. I'd want to top deck this every time or have it in my starting hand.
Yeah, this is a 10 for me too. Like a 3/4 flyer with 2 1-mana lightning helixes attached to it is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like this will just wreck people. Like this has to be a 10.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like you get the lifelink too, like this is a good dirtle card. And it's super aggressive too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the life gain isn't super relevant, but unless you're like not being aggressive, right?
I feel like the magical fairyland's coming out. The 3-color magical fairyland stuff is coming out with the double pip white and
I don't know. I think that's
on the 10.
I don't think that's
I
hard.
don't know.
I don't think it's good. I think that's going to be much easier to do than you think in this set, especially with those double colored lands that are out there.
I will put bad mana fixing to play this card.
Yeah.
Like
I would.
Yeah, I would too, but like you're not going to necessarily have it, right?
yeah, but
At 6, that's pretty late in the game. Like you're probably going to have at least.
I've played way worse, harder to cast cards than this. Like, yeah, this card's disgusting.
I'm going to go 9, and every time that there's an actual 10, I'm going to be like, would you take Archangel of Wrath over this? And you guys are both going to say no. You're both going to say no.
I'll probably say yeah. All right.
Maybe not. It is super good. Like I'm at like 9. Like I could definitely be
Like this card
see
is
it being a 10.
impactful at every point of the game when it's viable to play it.
A 3/4 life linker, right? Like that's disgusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not a 10
flying
by
life-
itself.
A 3/4 flying life linker for 4 is like 8 territory.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if it dealt 2 damage to any target,
Yeah.
that's like for 5 mana, that's like a 9 territory. If it can do 4 damage,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but
that's 10.
that's like
That's
you have
10.
to be 3 colors
6
to do
mana.
that, though.
But like you can also choose like the flexibility of it is grotesque.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The just pinging 2 other things after combat. This guy comes down and finishes off their best creatures after you just combated them. Or
Gain you life, like
Yeah,
it's
you get-
gross.
I just don't want to hear you guys telling me I'm living in a magical Christmas land ever again. You're like, you just hit them. They have 2 guys left
Well,
at 2. You're at 1 life.
They're at 4.
They have lightning bolt on the stack.
No difference if you have more than 4 defenders in your deck.
Yeah, this is better than the Defender Lord.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah, you put that at 9th. I guess you have to put
Yeah, I
that
have
at
to
10.
put that at
I respect it, but like you need to go lower that a little
You should
bit.
probably
No,
that.
no, it's a hard 9 from me.
Yeah, go take a stun counter and think about that one. All right, next up we got Denitha Benlia's Hope. It's 4 colorless and a white for a 4/4 human knight, legendary creature. I guess that's going to be important. First strike, vigilance, lifelink. It's already some good abilities. When Denitha Benlia's Hope enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to Denitha. This is just wow. We've had so many Achroma type creatures before. Just a creature that has just a bunch of abilities attached to it, and this is in that kind of lineage. And just getting aura or equipment from your graveyard or hand, it's just great. I mean, this is some major value on this card. This is a 9 for me. Just so many good abilities, vigilance and first strike, the life link. It just makes this thing so much harder to get. And then if you have an aura equipment that had been, killed or put into your graveyard at some point, getting it back and attaching it to this is just really good. It's a 9.
This is like a 7 from me. Like, this is a super good creature.
Yeah.
I think the second ability is kind of a trap. Like, I don't think it's worth putting auras and equipment in your deck just for this. I don't know. Like, cause like when you don't have this card specifically, I don't think it's as good.
Mm.
Like, the abilities are super good though. Like, it's a beast creature.
Yeah.
I kind of ignore the second line of text.
I think it has so much presence on the board.
Yeah.
So what are you rating it,
7.
Ruby?
7.
7?
Yeah.
I can see very many scenarios where I take this over the Angel, and none of them are in pack 1, but they're all in pack 2 and 3. Like, if I'm not in black-red, and this and the Angel are in the same pack, which is, gonna be rare, I could definitely take this over the Angel if I'm not at all in black-red. Like, first strike, Vigilance, Lifelink is insane on a dude. Like, yeah, the second part of the text is like pretty irrelevant. You might get like 1 decent equipment or aura or something, and you can attach it for free. That's cool, but you're probably not gonna have like an aura, and you're probably not gonna have an equipment depending on the set. But, yeah, I could see me taking this over the Archangel sometimes. So I'm gonna give it
A 10.
I want to give it 8.5.
10?
No, like pack 1, pick 1. I'm taking the Archangel, like hands down.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pack 2, pick 1.
Yeah. I'm taking the Archangel, and I'll be in black and red just for that.
Yeah, I'll be in the
Pack 3, pick 1.
Yes.
There's never a time I'm not picking that.
There's never a time
Like,
when I'm not. Yeah,
I'd have
for
to
sure.
be in blue green, and it would be tough. I'd have to mull that over.
I would
if you're
take it in blue
and
green.
both of these, if you're in blue green and both of these when you're pack 1, pick 1. Realistically, which one are you taking?
Well,
How am I already in blue green if it's pack
yeah,
1,
you'd
pick
have to
1?
be.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, pack 3. Pack 3.
I'm
bad.
taking
Pack
the
3, pick 1.
Archangel.
No shot.
Genuine.
No shot.
Swear on my mother's grave.
No shot.
Angel too. I just
Like,
She's not even dead,
Denitha,
but
Denitha's going in any deck, no matter what. Archangel
no,
just
for
isn't.
sure not.
Yeah.
Archangel kills this the next turn after this is played.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, like Archangel just
get
wrecks
our
this card.
artifact equipped to it.
Like
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
yeah,
I'll go
this is a
8.
failure.
I'll go 8, but
It's even territory with the angel because you gave the angel an 8, right?
no, I get Angel at
Okay,
9.
okay, good. All right.
I get Angel at 9.
All right.
All right, so next we have Defiler of Faith. Oh wait, it's Roby's turn, right?
Is
Yeah,
it?
okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Defiler of Faith.
Yep.
3 and 2 white for a creature, Phyrexian human, a 5/5 with vigilance. As an additional cost to cast white permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost 1 white mana less to cast if you paid life this way. This effect reduces only the amount of white mana you pay. Whenever you cast a white permanent spell, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Yeah, this is good. This is better than removal. I would probably give this like a 9. I don't know how relevant like the Phyrexian mana ability thing's gonna be, but just creating a 1/1 every time you cast a white soldier token, every time you cast a permanent is pretty gross. Seems pretty strong, like a 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go at 8 because Archangel's a 9. And Denitha is an 8. This is an 8, and it's like the same to me
To me,
as Denitha. Like I'd be pretty torn between those two.
Mm.
I'd be really sad because I know the person to my left is also gonna be drafting white.
All right, good. I think this guy's an 8. It's pretty good. I mean, if you get to untap with this thing, you're getting at least 2 soldiers, right? I mean, you gotta be. You're double spelling that turn easily. It's just too bad it doesn't have any kind of life link to kind of negate that. But I guess it's the Phyrexian way of just paying a bunch of life and and just using that to leverage to win there. I think it's pretty good. I think that might come up more often than not. That double white or paying the Phyrexian mana for white. Especially when you're double spelling there. And I think just getting some upside on creature tokens is pretty good too. So 8.
yeah, I will say that the creature tokens with this do not have flying.
Yeah.
Like my defender boy. And I feel like it might be the case that it might be easier to get defender creatures in a deck that's built around defender creatures than it is to just get a normal. I feel like you could get more defenders than you could white permanents in just any normal deck.
Oh my gosh.
Low key.
That's the hottest of hot takes.
That is a hot take, but still like
okay.
I
This is
still
a quote.
don't know if I would take this over the Defender Lord. Loki. You're making more bird
easy.
tokens than you are 1/1 white soldier creature tokens.
It's easier to get defenders than white permanents. He says.
I'm saying you're more likely to have, if you have a deck built around defender, how many defenders are you having in? Like probably like 10 plus.
When we did it, we got 12 to 13,
Yeah,
but like
yep.
that was like on draft sim.
Oh, yeah.
Are you gonna have?
Not in real
Are you
life.
gonna have 12 to 13? You'll probably have around that much.
Nah,
if
8
you're
to 10.
8 to 10 white permanents.
8 to 10 defenders.
Okay, but like, if your deck's half white.
But no, it's an 8. It's better than the other defender. Like I would definitely pick one this way over that defender and never think twice about it.
Yeah, I think I might go down. Because I gave the defender guy a 9. And I like it better than this.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
An 0-3 versus a 5/5.
An 0-3 that makes a 1/1 versus a 5/5 vigilance.
That perpetually makes 1/1s.
They both do that.
Yeah. But like you also get the enter the battlefield trigger. Like you can, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me.
It's not.
It's tough for me.
It's not tough. All right. If we would have never drafted that deck, you would be like so. Like draft sim is skewed. Like
yeah, for
that's
sure,
like...
for sure. But
So we have Guardian of New Benalia. It's a colorless and a white for a 2/2. Human soldier has enlist, and whenever Guardian of New Benalia enlists a creature, scry 2, you can discard a card, and it gains indestructible until end of turn, and tap it. This is like super good to enlist because obviously you can just give it indestructible when they try to block it or whatever if you need to, and it's just they're not going to want to block it because they're just going to lose something for it, and you get a scry 2. You're getting it for 5. It's just going to be disgusting. Like this card's going to be disgusting. It's a solid 8.
Solid. It's a solid 7 for me. I think it just it's not going to win. It'll late game, I guess. That scry does kind of help. I think once you start curving out with this thing, it's really good. It's a solid playable though. I mean, I'm never cutting this. It's always going in the deck. The enlist with that scry 2 is just going to be disgusting. 2 scryers, that's getting pretty deep to where you're actually able to manipulate that deck to just start curving out or to get those extra lands out of the way. And the indestructible on enlist is going to be really strong, especially when they only get the power and not the toughness. So it's a solid 7, and it's going in my deck.
Yeah, it's a 7 for me. I don't really have anything to add. It's just solid. It's card advantage in a weird pseudo type of way.
All right. Next up, we got Leyline Binding. 5 and a white for an enchantment. It has flash, domain. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each basic land types you control. When Leyline Binding enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Leyline Binding leaves the battlefield. So this is definitely like a really could be undercosted Oblivion Ring with flash. That flash, sets it over the top. We saw something in the uncommons that had, it was a 4 drop that had the flash with the same kind of ability, except it gained you 2 life. It's all right. It's pretty good. I'm thinking it's costing 1 less, every time. I like it. I think it's a 6.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's probably gonna be worse than the other one, the 4 mana one, like the 2 life. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably at like 6 on it too. It's good, but
Prayer of Binding.
Yep.
Isn't it the floor of it just the 4 mana? Like basically, like you're never running monocolor, right? Like
yeah.
So the floor isn't the floor like 4 mana the same, but you don't gain the 2 life.
Yep. It's like good, right? Like I think it might be worse though.
But like the ceiling is like
The ceiling
mana.
is like a 1 mana
Yeah.
removal spell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still don't think it's that. It's still enchantment based removal. Like, okay, you convinced me. Oh, I would go maybe a 7. It's like comparable. Like, I'm never first picking this ever.
I would easily first pick it. I mean, it's like a solid removal.
Yeah, it's a 1.
Like, I mean, I'd pick like a lot of stuff over it. Like, I'd pick the 2/2 first striker probably over it. But
maybe
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah,
it's probably
It's probably
if the 2 life is super relevant. Like, it all depends on what's more relevant, the 2 life or the cost.
Yeah,
You know what I
agree.
mean?
They're super comparable. Like, I wouldn't even like. I probably will never actually draft this card because I feel like I probably wouldn't value it. Like, it's not really a reason to go into domain,
Like, you don't have to though. Like, if you just
like this doesn't pull you.
Like, if you have the angel and you have like a black red that you're splashing to try to make the angel work, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're just gonna be incidentally splashing some just stupid.
It's always making the deck.
stuff.
Like, there's no.
Yeah, if you're in white, like, it's like definitely a 7 to me. Like baseline 7, and like the more chances you have to get domain, the higher it goes. But like, it's a 4 mana. Like, I mean, it's the same as the other one, but could be. It's just better in different ways, I guess. I don't know. Could be worse, could be better. Who knows?
Sarah Paragon, which is 2 and 2 white for an angel with flying, a 3/4 angel with flying. Once during each of your turns, You make play a land card from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains. When this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, exile it, and you gain 3 life. Gain 2 life. Yeah, this is good. This is like an 8 for me. This is solid.
Yeah, I mean, this is like just massive card advantage.
Yeah, just being able to, yeah.
And you gain life, like, I don't know. And right when it's played, I don't know if there's like sack lands. I don't think there is, like Terramorphic Expanse or anything, but like the turn it's played, you could grab something potentially. So I kind of am like at a 9 with it. I think I'm at a 9, maybe an 8. I do tend to lean more toward like more aggressive.
Yeah.
I think than you guys, like more aggro decks.
Yeah. It's definitely better than aggro.
Yeah, like it's like amazing in an aggro deck.
Yeah.
But
this is a 9.
I'm at a 9.
I mean, just playing the lands from the graveyard, I don't know how relevant that's going to be, but the permanence, a permanent spell of mana 3 or less is pretty good. And then you gaining the life, it's definitely leaning towards that more control-ish kind of side of things, you know, with that 2 life game, but it's also aggressive with just bringing back permanents from your graveyard. It's really aggressively costed at that 3/4 flyer for 4. Yeah, it's solid 9. It's getting into the deck every time, and it's probably going to win you the game just on card advantage alone. Must answer.
All right. Next, we have Temporary Lockdown. It's a colorless and 2 white for an enchantment. When Temporary Lockdown enters the battlefield, exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until Temporary Lockdown leaves the battlefield. This seems kind of jank. Not super great. Obviously, if you're like kind of later game and you want this, I would set your expectations kind of low though. Like maybe you're gonna kill like 2 dudes with it. I'm gonna give it like a 3, honestly, a 3. You sideboard it in against the token decks, but that's it.
Yeah. I'm about a 4 for this one. You know, that double white is pretty hard to do sometimes, especially when if you're going into more higher domain kind of stuff. This isn't a card that you can lean on, which you'd probably actually want in a domain deck, just because you're going to probably take a beating from those things trying to assemble your mana, and so it doesn't even fit into that really well, and so it keeps getting lower for me. Getting rid of the tokens is good. I mean, this is pretty good out of a sideboard. I mean, you could probably put it main board, but you know, how many creatures are you going to really tag with this, and how many creatures of your own might you tag with this too, especially in those defender type decks as well. Yeah, it's a 4 for me. Maybe a 3.
It's a 4 for me. I'm not a huge fan, but like I feel like this is about as good as the 3 mana enchantment removal. Like it's comparable to me. Like this has the higher ceiling, but like I don't think you mainboard this unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Like I'm never excited to put this in my deck.
Yeah.
Did you just say this is comparable to O-Ring?
Yep.
Is that what I caught?
Exactly what
Okay. I was just double checking. Go ahead.
Oof.
O-Ring only gets 1 bird token.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a little bit better.
All the bird tokens.
If you're O-Ring and a bird token,
You're already losing, but still.
then you're O-Ring and
This
Roby's
gets
only
you out of
feature
some
for
weird.
lethal.
This card could definitely get you out of some weird situations, though.
It's good out of the sideboard.
It's super good out of the sideboard.
Yeah,
Like,
I think you're sideboarding it in. I don't know. It's just hard pressed to put that main board. I mean, everybody's got to have at least a mana value or some tokens there, but if they're leaning towards this, is going to be a blowout. You know, if they're more into that token deck.
this is good against. It's good against better players who have more 2-drops. You know, like
Really aggressive.
it's Rex Ryan.
It does. It does. It's very scary, but I would literally never consider playing this over the O-Ring one. Like, never, ever consider that.
That ley line is much better.
I probably would.
Wow.
I would, genuinely.
Urza assembles the Titans. 3 colorless, 2 white. So 5. And it's an enchantment saga with read ahead. The first chapter, scry 4. Then you may reveal the top card of your library. If a Planeswalker card is revealed this way, put it into your hand. Chapter 2. you may put a Planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand into the battlefield. In Chapter 3, you may activate the loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control twice this turn rather than once. Well, in draft, this is pretty much it's probably a 1 it's probably a 1 or a 0 in draft unless you really are lucky and get that Planeswalker. Constructed, this is obviously a different kind of rating, but we're rating on draft here. It's a 1 for me. I just, without a Planeswalker, and probably a 0, actually, it's probably a 0 if you have no Planeswalkers in your deck. It's barely a 1 if you have a Planeswalker in your deck. Actually, it's probably a 0 for me. 0 in draft.
It's a 0 for me. If you had, would you put this in your deck if you had 2 Planeswalkers?
I mean, really, you're just getting Scry 4, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
If I had 2 Planeswalkers, I'd probably play it.
I'd probably play it, but man, that is just clutch. I mean,
it still seems kind of bad, but
yeah, I don't know. Scry 4 for 5 is pretty bad. It's a 0 for me now. You've just convinced me.
If I had 2 Planeswalkers, I would still not play this card.
I would play it.
Like, I'd play this in Constructed Super Friends, obviously, but like just for the 3 ability to activate Planeswalkers twice is like insane. Yeah. But this is just terrible. It's a 0, and I will never ever put it in my deck unless I lose a bet.
This is the card that I would want to play the most. Like, I want to have a deck where this is good. Like, that's my goal for the entire format.
This still makes it bad. Like, if you have 5 Planeswalkers, you still don't want this card. You still don't want it.
I think with 5, I might want it.
5, yeah. But like, that's impossible to get, right? Like, you aren't even getting 5 Planeswalkers in a draft.
How many times does that happen?
Yeah, I think this might be worth a little bit of money, though. I think you might have to take it. That's because it's worth a little bit, but maybe not.
Hunting for value. But
yeah, I mean, it's not correct, right? Like, you'll never draft it on Arena, but
all right, Valiant Veteran, which is 1 and a white for a core soldier, a 2/2. Other soldiers you control get +1/+1, and it has an activated ability for 5 mana. 3 and 2 white. Exile Valiant Veteran from your graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. Cute. I would probably give it like maybe a 6. It's kind of pushing it. It's probably like a 5. I feel like I don't know how relevant a soldier lord would really be in this set. There's a bunch of soldiers, like, maybe. I don't know. I give
I think all the little tokens you make are soldiers.
Yep. I don't know. It's still like a 6 for me.
Yeah, I'm 6 playing with 7. Like, I feel like the 2/2 first striker's better, probably. Right? The 2/2 first striker and the 2/3 lifelinker is probably better.
The 2/3 lifelinker is way better than this, but
yeah, it's a 4 for me. It's so soldier dependent on your deck. Even its activated ability from the graveyard, even though it's nice to have something that kind of gives you a little bit of payoff from the graveyard, because this guy's dying in combat like every time, and if you get into the late game, you really want it to die to get that extra push if you have soldiers. I mean, it's just, I don't even know now.
It kind of does the exact same thing that it did while it was alive. Like, you're not even getting that much of a.
You don't even get value.
That's kind of it's like
actually,
a 5.
It's even worse. It's probably a 3. This guy's getting cut. He's like, you got to do the soldier count to make this guy good, and I don't even know if that's even worth the payoff. Yeah,
it could be good. Wow. I think
you're going to be getting those 4 mana sorceries for free that make 3/1/1s. Like, if you pick this early and you just like gear your deck around it, like the build around obviously goes up a lot. I think in a vacuum it's pretty bad for sure. In a vacuum it's pretty bad.
You're looking at that 2. It's just basically a bear in a vacuum, right? So you're like a 2. In the deck, obviously it goes up higher. So in a vacuum, I'm actually gonna go down to 2 on this.
I have it at 5. If you can build around it, you can get there. But
yeah, I'll go with the 5 too.
In a vacuum, where are you guys at?
In a vacuum, like
Like
if
in
there's no
yeah.
soldiers, like a 2.
In a
Yeah,
vacuum,
like-
that's like a 2. It's
Yeah.
like a 4. It's still like
well,
a,
it's like a 3 or 4. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
still a
still
2
a
2 for 2.
Yeah, I guess I gotta know. Are we rating like that you get it in the deck, or are you trying to like middle of the road it? You know,
Like, yeah, kind of middle of the road it, or like just say what you think. Like, build around it's this, but like if you don't build around it, it's this. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly fine.
sounds good. Build around
It's
5,
like,
not build around 2.
yeah,
Vacuum 2.